Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for your testimony. Every other member of this committee so far has spoken about the budget, so I will as well. I will simply reiterate today, and maybe every time in the future, as Cato did with Carthage, that the Budget Control Act must be repealed. The 112th Congress was not the Constitutional Convention. The Budget Control Act is not the Constitution. Congress has made it clear that we cannot abide by those caps, so why don't we simply repeal it and do our constitutional duty of appropriating money every single year, in particular, since every senator on this dais, from Deb Fisher to that end, and Joe Donnelly to that end, didn't even vote on the Budget Control Act. General Neller, I had the opportunity yesterday to attend a funeral of one of your Marines at Arlington National Cemetery. Thank you for sending a representative there. Private First Class Larry Roberts was a sniper. He died in November 1943 in the Tarawa Atoll. He, along with several others, could not be identified for decades, but ultimately, thanks to the work of honor flights and the Defense POW MIA accounting agency, his remains were identified and he was laid to rest. Had a small family, obviously, as an 18-year-old man who sacrificed his life 74 years ago. He didn't have a wife or children, but the children of his parents' siblings were there to pay their respects. In some ways, though, I feel that the people who most need to know about that funeral are your Marines and your sailors and our soldiers and our airmen, that if they go missing or are captured or killed, that our country will spare no expense. We will not rest. We'll bear any burden to find them and bring them home and let them rest in honor where they deserve. You said earlier, Mr. Neller, in response to a question from Mr. Inhofe, that you are not organized to face a peer adversary in 2025. Could you explain more about why that's the case?
Congressman, since 9/11, we've organized, trained, and equipped the force to fight a counterinsurgency and conduct stability ops. The training that I had as a junior officer and then later as a regimental commander to fight primarily combined arms fight against a peer ground combat force was not required, and so we did what we needed to do to meet the current threat. And we recognized several years ago, many of my predecessors, that we had started to lose our capability to conduct combined arms in the more traditional sense. Now, when you take the current operating environment and what we anticipate the future operating environment, when you add space, cyber, information, the long-range precision of weapons, the use of different capabilities, active protection systems, unmanned aircraft, our adversaries have taken this time where we've been focused on the CT and the insurgencies to develop these capabilities. And although we still retain one-on-one against them, I think the edge is closed. And so we need to look at our force and the capabilities we have. So our intent is to, with the end strength of 185,000 we've been given by the appropriations, to start that process, to increase the number of Marines that do electronic warfare, increase the number of Marines that do command and control, increase the number of Marines that do cyber, increase the number of Marines that do information, that do air defense, and those capabilities that we think are going to be important in that type of an environment. And if we are able to grow the force, we'll continue to add to that capability, and at the same time, remodernize a legacy force and make it more survivable and lethal.
To achieve decisive victory over a peer competitor in 2025, then it sounds like you're stressing more the skill sets and the training that your Marines have rather than the absolute number of Marines you need?
You get into the question, Senator, as you know, of capacity and capability. So right now, the focus is on the capability sets. And it's going to take a long time. I mean, not with all due respect to my own tribe, the infantry tribe, I can make a competent individual infantry Marine in about 6 to 9 months. It's probably a little bit longer now because the requirements are much more complicated. But the Marines, and I would say the sailors, the airmen, and the soldiers we're going to need in the future to do these other things are going to be expensive and they're going to take time to grow and build. You've got to recruit them, you've got to find them, you've got to train them, and then you've got to keep them. And so right now we're focused on capacity, or on capability over capacity, but eventually we're going to have to get to the capacity question.
Admiral Richardson, you face some of the same challenges in personnel. You've introduced a number of talent management programs to recruit, train, and retain the best people. Could you give us an update on that, maybe discuss next steps, especially as it relates to pilots, since we've seen the kind of pressures the Air Force faces with their pilots?
Yes, sir. And I agree completely with the Commandant in terms of what the stressors are and how to achieve that balance between capability and capacity. You've got to be there with credible options to provide decision makers the options that the Navy and the Marine Corps team is responsible for delivering. In terms of talent management, we've got our Sailor 2025 initiative, which really is a bundle of about 40 different initiatives that get after that. With respect to your specific question on pilots, the very most urgent thing we have to do is get their aircraft ready to fly. Our pilots join the Navy and the Marine Corps to fly high-performance aircraft. That's why they came, that's why they want to stay, and so that's our first priority.
Thank you.